Hey, perfect.
Welcome. This is What's in Your World. I'm your host, Salim. Next to me here.
I'm Chaz. I thought you would say my name. I'm Chaz.
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I like it.
Off camera, I was telling Chaz.
Yeah, you have a story to tell me.
So, when I was living in Minnesota, I worked at an antique store, a Time Treasured Antiques.
Okay.
And it was on Superior Street, which was the main road in Duluth. So it's like in downtown.
Yeah.
It's like the street everybody's walking in the summer, you know.
Yeah.
So one day I was hanging up a picture. I was on the ladder. It was like pretty high ceilings at the antique store. So I was probably like at 15, 16 feet up.
Like 2-3 stories?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, like real high ceilings.
Yeah.
So I was like 15, 16 feet up.
Okay.
Hanging a painting that was I remember had to
Big.
use my whole,
Yeah.
And so I've got the owner, the one of the owners here, holding the ladder. Okay. And then the others watching. They were husband and wife. Pat and Cat. Much love to them.
Pat and Cat.
So yeah, he passes me the painting and it's backwards. So I have to grab it like this and try and bring it over
While on a ladder.
Yeah. And the painting's pretty it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It's glass. Oh my days.
Let me just go see what's going on there.
Technical difficulties there. I probably started it. So yeah, 16 feet up, get the painting backwards, and I'm trying to maneuver it to hang it up, and it was just too top heavy for me. So I gradually started falling, very slowly as it felt, with the painting still in my hands. And mind you, we're in a small hall. So there was a glass cabinet with I think jewelry and other fine items. And it's good size, all glass. And then next to you is shelves, all glass with other fine items.
Sounds so disastrous.
And I'm falling in between these things. And now the width of the painting itself would be able to smash both things next to me. But I managed to angle it to where the painting was falling in between
the two, yeah.
And I didn't fall on any of the glass. I landed on my side.
Good
Perfectly.
God, man.
The painting, the corner hit the ground. So the corner there was a little crack. None of the glass cracked. Painting was fine. It was just the border of
he fell 15, 16 feet with this thing.
Yep. And
managed to not break anything.
We looked at the footage. I still have the video. I'll show you later.
Oh, I got to see the footage.
And
we got to put that on here.
You slowly see this massive painting with my lower part of my body just slowly as Pat is just looking as I'm going across his point of view.
You feel so helpless.
Yeah, he he was reaching, but he couldn't reach.
Yeah, there's nothing. God, it sucks.
But yeah, and then I was out.
Good job though. Well done, man.
Well, but I was out for 2 weeks because I was playing semi-pro at the time. I was out for 2 weeks because I had a baseball in my hip, and I couldn't really walk for 3 or 4 days, and was doing therapeutic things, and it put me back at square one, and then I had to go start at the reserve team again, and then it set me back. But it was
it's a give and take.
I was never really too upset about it.
Yeah,
it kind of just happened, it was all good. I was able to laugh about it. I could have caused thousands of dollars worth of damage.
That's not a joke, man.
You know,
you pulled off a miracle, and they couldn't have been mad at you either way. I feel like
no. They were just happy I was okay.
Yeah,
because I was pretty high on
God, but you can't replace antiques.
No.
You know,
No.
so well done on that part. You know, good story.
It's
I
a
like
great
that.
story,
Yeah.
yeah.
I need to see the video for this.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you later.
What are you barking at? He just barks. You know,
We got a little mini dog on
you'll
camera.
see him, I'm sure. Yeah, I'll show him. Say hey to the world, Ang. He's like, what the?
So here at What's in Your World, we have no particular structure.
No. We have like a general idea of where I'm going to start things.
My mic is doing that again.
Oh, it's your mic.
Yeah, I think it's the cord.
Well, here, replace it with the other mic. Just pick up that mic and put that one down. We've got all kinds of mics around here. There we go. New
Just
mic.
like nothing.
Yeah, new mic. We're all good.
So yeah, we have no structure here, clearly. We are very free-flowing here in What's
I like it.
in Your World. And but on the fine occasion that one of us decides we have something we would like to share or like to ask each other about,
Which I do.
Those are open for discussion.
Yep.
And to happen.
Well, and I think to take on the spirit of kind of a lot of what I feel like I've already talked about, and I feel like a lot of it's like psyche stuff, mental stuff, you know, existential. I can't say the word right.
Existential.
Existential. There's a massive bug in the room. There's a lot of crazy things happening right now in this place.
It's wild. We are
is.
out here.
For real. I feel like we've talked a lot about that stuff. We've talked about some like personal things, you know. We've chatted about just kind of going down that road. So I was thinking over the week, to drag this out a little longer for you, I was thinking over this week, and I thought, ooh, I think I've got a good question that I'm going to propose to you. And I'm curious to see, I had it two ways in my head. It was like I can ask him point blank that day, and he's just going to have to think of the first thing that comes to him, and I can't think too much about it, and it won't sway you to like overthink it kind of a thing. Or I give it to you early, and you get to overthink it and come in. So obviously we chose on the former, where I'm going to just bombard you with this question and see kind of where you, and I have questions that I think are going to lead to after this, and if you want to ask any questions, obviously back that lead, I think the conversation is going to go down that road regardless. But my question is, makes it seem so big and awesome, but it's really not. You got to give me one thing that you've learned about me since we started doing the podcast.
Ooh.
Whatever you want, man. It could be negative, it could be good, it could be whatever you feel like. But
you thought everyone was born with a penis.
Oh, dude, that's a good one.
That's what I've learned about you. You thought everyone was born with a penis. Dude, I will never forget that story.
God. That's
I will
hilarious.
never forget that story.
That is hilarious, dude. I was not expecting that one at all. That is too fucking good.
Notice how red his face got?
Yeah, because that one made me laugh, dude. Like, holy crap, man. Of all the things that I have freaking said, that is the one that you just
That's the one that stuck out to me the most.
That is a good story. I'll give it to you. Because, like, what a childish thing to try to comprehend.
Right.
And just, like, come up with this idea that, well, like, I started this way, so everybody does. You know? That is funny. Yeah,
and I feel like I shared a story first about something irrational about my childhood. It may have been like
I think so.
how I thought I was convinced chihuahuas were poisonous. That's what it was. I was convinced chihuahuas were poisonous. I think it was my sister who convinced me that, but she will deny it all day long.
I gotta go back and listen to some of these episodes.
Dude, we have
some of the
talked about some weird stuff.
Yeah, that's not a joke, dude. Some really weird shit, I feel like.
Season 1's been crazy. Just
all
wait
right.
for season 2.
I'll ask you a second question then, to take it deeper. What is something that you've learned about me since you've met me in general?
Ooh. I learned that when you found something that you felt was going to help you in the long run, that you felt was going to give you a purpose, you did nothing but that. You
That's fair.
You put
Okay.
all of your resources and time
Interesting.
into making that you can call it desire, passion,
Yeah.
come to life.
Yeah.
When you told me the story about those armbands,
Oh shit! Yeah.
and then you started talking about the
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that like
That's cool. Okay. I
that-
like that. Yeah.
because that's something I think that stands out about you as a person.
Defines who I am,
It-
or it's
in a way,
defining who I am.
In a
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
I think, yeah,
That's cool. All right, I like that one. That was a deep answer.
yeah.
I liked both of those answers actually. One of them
Well,
was
'cause
like
that's me.
super
That's me.
comical and like small, and then the other one was like almost like deep and philosophical. But I like that. 'Cause
That's me right there.
I do feel that it was hilarious. Yo, you got me with that freaking the first one. That was good, man. I was not expecting that. I was curious to know what you were gonna say, but I really didn't know that it would be like a small random story. I guess I was thinking maybe it would be more of a philosophical one, but I didn't see that one coming. That's what I think. The funniest things in life to me are the things that I don't expect.
Oh yeah.
When I
100%.
expect what's about to happen, well then it's not very funny. I already knew it was coming.
Yep.
But when you shock me, that shit's funny.
Mhm.
Now you've made me laugh, kind of a thing. All right.
Well, but that's interesting. You bring that up. We have talked about on the show about clearing all expectations in life.
We have.
And when you take that into consideration, you talk about this. When you clear all those expectations in life, everything is entertaining in life. Nothing is boring anymore.
This is true.
You know,
This is true.
because you're not expecting anything. You know, because when you, like you said, when you expect things, it's no longer interesting
Yes.
because you just figured it was going to happen anyways.
Yes. 100%.
Now, there's
Expectations
also
will kill you.
something to say about one's intuition and how that can, figure out what's going to happen before it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that, yeah.
Well, I think there's a part that plays into like simple things. I guess we'll go back to the analogy of like comedy. If something's funny because I didn't expect it, it's because it was truly original. And if I was expecting it, then it's because everybody else did it that way. And so like my expectations are coming from a background of that's what everybody does. So like I totally agree with you. Expectations will kill you. And if you can just not expect anything, then everything could be funny. And I think to a certain degree, like I have a pretty open sense of humor. I find a lot of things to be comical to me. I can find the humor out of the light and the dark in a lot of things in life. But at the same time, I don't know. I guess I'm losing my train of thought on that one now, to be honest with you. I don't know. It just one of those things, man.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy cracks me up, but I don't know. I like just be original. I guess is where I'm coming from. That's the only train of thought I can think of now at this point. Is just don't do things that are already done by society and everybody else, and then I will most likely think that's comical or original and awesome, kind of a thing.
Yeah, or like the way someone portrays something.
Yes.
So like you can have somebody tell you a story you've already heard, but if they deliver it differently and deliver it in an original way, because sometimes it's not just the content per se or the ideas per se that have to be original.
I agree with this.
But it has to be maybe a bit of the intention behind it and the delivery and the execution and the thought that went into the way this person is going to express this idea or whatever it may be.
For sure. I think if you take 3 comedians and tell them to tell the same joke, one's going to be bad and one's going to be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, one's going to be better than the other ones, and like all 3 are going to do it differently. That's what makes humans unique, All right, I got another question for you. Since we started, what have you learned about yourself?
I learned that I can handle being in front of a camera and talking about real and honest things about myself and about my experience.
Okay, I like that.
Because before this, I've dabbled in being in a few podcasts, this, and working with a couple people. We've talked about this kind of stuff, and I never really felt as if it was my place to be in front of the camera and express my opinion. I felt I was only there to learn, so I couldn't say my piece.
That's fair.
But when we started this, I still think about this before we start every show. Is my intention is to learn above everything else, but to also share my experience as well, and how I've learned certain things. Because I feel like prior I was belittling myself in a way. I wasn't giving myself enough credit.
You absolutely were, and most people do. That's a normal humanistic thing to do, for sure.
And then with a little bit of confidence, with a little bit of facing the fear, you can make things come to life.
You realize it's not
you
that
wouldn't
bad.
Expect.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, doing this has helped me to learn how to face fears a little different in a different way.
I love that. I like this philosophical answer. This is a good one. I like this. Perfect.
Because to me now, this wouldn't have been something I would have said a year ago, but to me now, facing fears, certain, creates expansion not only in your mind, but in your just overall human experience.
Yes, for real.
Because if you live life never facing your fears, you can.
What a sad life.
What
a sad life.
That's tough. So it's kind of like now, how many fears can I face? How many
become
fears
an adrenaline
can
junkie.
Right. Well, how many fears can I face before I die?
Yeah.
If I kill all fears, hey, sounds good to me.
You only get one life.
Right.
It's not like you get to do this over again.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess I already had another question, but now I'm going to have, you just made me want to ask another question instead. So we're going to go down this road for a second. Would you rather have less years in your life and do more? And I think you've already answered this, but we're going to ask it anyways. Or would you rather have more years in your life, but you've done less?
Less years. 100,000%.
No matter how many years? Is there a limit to this? If I gave you 1,000 years versus 50 years?
I'd take the 50 years.
You'd take the 50 years over the 1,000?
Uh-huh.
Interesting. So there's no amount of time. It's the experiences of what you're doing.
Only.
That's
what
cool.
I've done.
I like that, yeah. Which I think that's fair. I think that's a fair answer to actually come with.
And also if you know you're gonna live a short amount of time, you're gonna accomplish so much more. So why try and expect that you're gonna live 80, 90 years?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know how recent this is that I think about this, or when this started, but I would so much rather die at 50, and
Yeah.
it's
No,
a little
I get
dark.
Yeah,
but
I get you. I get you.
I would rather expect to die at 50 than to expect to die at 90. Because if I expect to die at 50, I'm gonna pursue so much more.
Yeah, that's fair.
And there's a little bit of give and take there, because that could lead to pressuring yourself to work yourself, but
stress and all the other, exhaustion. I get it. No,
but if you can fight those battles as they come, I'd so much prefer the short life.
Fair enough. Okay.
Well, what's your answer?
It's tough, man, because I guess if I was restricted, I only get 50 versus 1,000, and okay, what can I do in those 1,000 years? Is the first thought. You're telling me that I get to do less things in 1,000 years. Well, what is less things? How many less things? This devil's in the details here, people. That's where my head immediately starts going. But my first initial thought, I was well, I mean, shit, yeah, I'm the type of person that wants to go do a bunch of stuff in life, So, and I married a girl who won't stop. The girl doesn't sit down for 5 seconds. She can't, Sometimes just chill out for one moment. Let's go be lazy, But that's just not kind of who we are. And I feel like that's part of the game. You know, even with my daughter, she's just like born with this gene of like, we gotta go, go, go. You know, like it's a Romeo trait that we've always laughed about. That like all of us, I know it's not just us, but like
Sure.
all of us tend to have this energy and this go to us. You know, and so like I'm that type of person. I don't think I could hold back and sit back. I think if I lived 1,000 years, I was thinking in my head, like you were like, if I knew I was going to live longer, what kind of incentive would I have to want to work harder? And I thought, you're absolutely right. My only problem is I'd get bored. And like, I get bored very easily, you know, and my mind's got to keep going. That's why I have 1,000 projects going on behind the scenes when I'm not working, kind of a thing, you know, like I can't help that. So like, then I think to myself, man, if I had 1,000 years, I'd have so much more time to do all of these things. You know, like I could really take this to an extreme. This would be cool. So it's like this give and take of like, I got to know the details, but just on the surface, sure, I definitely want the more experiences, you know, like that. I can't take back all the traveling I've done, and I wouldn't for anything in the world, because that has shown me so many different cultures, so many different things, opened me up, and let me see life in a different way. And like, those experiences going out and doing that, you can't
priceless.
You can't replicate that. You know, so like, yeah, if I spent 1,000 years just sitting in Alabama, that would make me cry. You know, that's where I'm going with that. I think Hang farted, and it is really stinky right now. I think he's comfortable. All right, I got another question for you.
Okay,
what's something you've learned about yourself in life in general that you think about today?
I can do a lot more than I allow myself to think I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've shared this story on this show, but when I was 17,
so like last year.
No, shut up.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, I think I was like 17. I had fasted, so I had gotten a concussion in April.
Yep.
Okay. Regionals was in June.
Yep.
Regionals is where the state champions of everyone in the Southeast plays against each other. Okay. So I have the concussion. I have to like redo that whole semester of school because I'd forgotten everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't finish like in May like everyone else, and I was doing I was still doing school. I was still having to go to school for like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And worked with this teacher to redo that stuff. And I was also fasting Ramadan and finishing up with this concussion brain. And so I'm like training at night after I would break fast. I would like I would like get a bunch of like flashlights and like put them there and like train in my driveway. And I would like train early in the morning too. Yeah. Like before I would get too deprived, you know, and like too thirsty really. And so then Ramadan ends, and actually, you know what? I think it was still Ramadan when I went to the tournament. So, but I didn't fast because I was traveling.
At that point, you really figure out.
So like
you got to make decisions.
Like when you're traveling, it's like you don't have to fast like when you're traveling. So, play in the regional tournament, and I had like iffy first 2 days. And then we play in a game on like that Sunday, where if we win this game,
that's the game I was
by
at,
one
right?
goal. This is against Louisiana Fire.
Trey was your coach?
Yes.
This is like South Carolina, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was at this game. This is you need to score like 3 goals in this game.
Yeah. So if we win this game by 1 goal, we
move on.
We move on.
Yeah, y'all move on. Yeah.
And I played like 10 minutes in the first half.
Yeah.
And then came on with like 15 minutes left in the second.
I remember this.
I went in at striker.
Yeah. You'd already scored 2 goals, right?
No.
You hadn't scored any goals by this point?
It was 2-1.
That's right. I think
was
y'all
two-
were.
we were
I think
down
you're right.
2-1.
I think you're right.
We were down 2-1 when I
and
got
you
in the
came
game.
in.
And
That's right.
um,
What a fun game to watch.
there was like a free kick came in and like bounced out. The left back serves it back in, and it bobbles in, and it just I see it just like pop out.
That moment.
Just like
that
the
moment.
ball just like, hey. I'm here. And I see like I'm right in front of the goal.
Yeah.
Smash it in and just like head to the corner
Turn
flag.
and go.
Just I put it in, head to the corner flag.
Yeah.
And like get to the corner flag. I'm holy shit, I'm so tired. And like all these guys like run at me,
pile on. Yeah.
And like there's parents on the corner that are like screaming, and I'm like dead silent. Like I'm like home. I'm so tired. And then there's like last 3 minutes, we were sitting back and we were like we're gonna defend, and if we win it, we'll try and counter. But it was my job to keep pressing as a striker.
Yeah.
So I was like chasing defenders that were just possessing.
I don't ever
want
to do that, man. Sounds miserable.
And it was just like running for no reason because it was like there's
you're never gonna get the ball, but you have to do it to keep the ball moving.
Right.
You have to.
Right. And I was just chasing and chasing. I was getting, getting real mad.
Yeah.
And then their center back miscues, plays it to the attacking midfielder, and I'm like, I turn around and I like start making my run and like creating a gap of space for him to play the ball into. Make that run, ball comes in, goalkeeper he came out a little too early, and I just went near post, and
what a game, dude!
And then I just like I scored it, and then I kind of just like stood there for a second and then started walking, and I think I did like a little prayer or something, like I don't know what I did, and I remember like Evan did the EPL slide, and then was like, and like a bunch of people came. My headgear fell off. I was just like, I'm so tired.
It's one of those games that makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
Everything you've been through,
and it was like all that I had been through since April was like, wow.
Yeah,
I could do it
for sure.
Even at all odds, like Coach Trey probably didn't assume I was going to be able to make a really big change, but he knew I was going to be the striker that in that moment was going to work his tail off, and just chase. You're
going to do your job. That's like the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
Just do your job. You don't even have to be too great at it. Just do the job,
Yep.
And know how to do the job, I guess, is a big part of it. Like, I think forward's actually really, really hard. It's because you have to understand how to make space and where to go and when to be there.
And how to manipulate
And how
defenders.
to manipulate it, for sure. How to work defenders, you know?
I remember when I was training with Blackie in Ireland, how I had to just I was just trying, my goal was how can I make these two center backs hate me as fast as possible? Because the moment they do, you
want to make them mentally work to following you.
Right, because the moment they do, they're out of the game.
Yeah.
And then I can just go from in between the two of them.
Because they're going to have to manage
they won't know what decisions to make.
Yeah.
And then
for sure,
next thing you know, there's 20 yards of space and you're in.
For sure.
If
you can be a forward who doesn't stop, that's a dirty forward. It's really hard to manage. It's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you really, at that point, this is where I'll say the next level of teams, the defenders stop managing you.
Mm-hmm.
And the goalkeeper is now shouting out where you are. They're having to manage you. So that people just can focus on their job and hear in the background, okay, that person's over here, it's over there. Because you're right. You'll cross. I always think it's funny. I hate to say this on girls, but I coached a lot of girls. So, I don't really mean it to be bad on girls, but, girls were really bad about this. They would have two center backs who had one or two forwards who would have them cross.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer left and right center backs anymore. They have now crossed because they've been. They follow the player endlessly. They'll just leave a hole sitting open and they just run off with this player. They don't even realize what they're doing anymore. And so that always we always forget to change that shit.
You've probably been talking for 4 minutes.
I know. So, like, I think that's really funny that, like, if you can be that forward who does manage to pull that back and forth off correctly on the right people, you can really manipulate those two.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ones that are like Chases in the world. You know, Chase is going to manage you.
Yeah.
He doesn't even really, he probably won't even think about you for a
Right.
lot of the time because he's like, I'll deal with you when I feel like I need to deal with you.
And as a defender, that's the best mind game to
For
play.
sure. For sure.
Is to just totally not even act like they're there.
For sure. If you look, man, every player on the field, if you're that good at it, then none of these games can really be played now.
Right.
And at that next level, the way I always tell people, like, you know, what is the pro level like? The best way, like, I talk to kids, I guess, more about it than anything, like, you know, developing children and teenagers and stuff like that. What's the next level? What's that top tier like? They're all that good. They're all as good as you. Everybody's as good as you. You don't do anything that they can't do either, and they can't do anything that you can't do. It becomes the little things. Literally the smallest intricate of things start to be the biggest deal of a thing. You're all that athletic. You're not any physically better than anybody else unless you're just like a random person that just has a freak body, which happens, granted, but like that's not the norm, you know? So like at that next level, you have to be that good. You've got to be on your P's and Q's. And so like things like that, those games, they stop working and now you have a whole new set of games that are being played. Games that you don't know of yet because you haven't been to that level and you have never played them. I can only imagine the type of games that get played between a Messi and a goalkeeper in a matter of a game. That would be the most like, when I go out 1v1 and he's got that ball, it would be a moment of like, there's so much this guy can do that I'm now going to have to manipulate totally how I play this man. And we got to do something that he's not expecting. We've now got to F him up in his own head on how because he's already F'd me up. In my head, I can't even figure out how to go manage this guy because if whatever I do that's normal as a goalkeeper, he already knows that I'm going to do that. And he's going to manipulate whatever I do. And he can do anything he wants with the ball. So, like, at that point, you've got to you got to change it, you know? Like, you got to change your style. You got to change the way you do it.
Yep.
Totally. The whole thing of, like, thinking about those kids just like crossing over and playing. I was like,
I see it all the time.
These kids.
I see it all the time.
Anyways, I do want to go back to the idea that like that was one of the most fun games I've ever watched. I would say in all of the coaching years that I had, that's easily top 3 or 4 games that I've ever seen.
Wow.
And like I've seen some nail biters that came down to the end, and that one was by far one of the best ones I've seen. And like truly, you had one of those like breakout games where you just that was your game, dude. That was the game that you were meant to be in. You were meant to play it, and I think it helped show you honestly that like the human body is way more powerful than we give it credit for.
And that was the same summer that I made the region team.
No shit.
And then went to Portugal the following season.
Yo, congratulations on that one, man.
Well, I mean,
that's
like,
an honor.
It was like I had gotten to a certain level of confidence that, like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
it was gonna happen.
You get to that level of the game.
I was so competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, I can't even tell you the amount of times I was at the fields and nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
And I was there for longer than you could think.
Yeah.
Like, I would spend hours.
Yeah.
I remember one time I got there at like 4:30 and I didn't stop until like 8:15 because it was dark and there weren't lights.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't see anymore. Like I had already tried the flashlight.
Yeah. Yo, and it's funny to me that you. I guess here I'm going to ask this question. It's maybe one of our last questions, actually, because I just looked down. It's like 35 minutes in. And I was like, how did 35 minutes go by? I truly thought it'd take 20.
Yeah.
That's like what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Where do you think that drive came from? Is it something that was, do you think it's almost like the nature versus nurture question, right? Like, were you born with this? And I could go deep into this because the Talent Code, the book, that's like my favorite book in the world, goes deep into this shit. But like, what do you think in your own circumstance? Take away everything else in life that you know. just think deep down personally, is there somewhere that you can trace back that drive for the game? Is there something that made you get to that point? Or do you truly feel like you were just born with this urge that ended up being like, I guess you weren't out the womb soccer, you know what I'm saying? But like you found it and that was it. It clicked. And it was like a natural DNA click that you couldn't control kind of a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think it definitely developed because I didn't even find soccer until my brother played soccer. And
That's
I
right.
always wanted, like, when I was a little kid, I just wanted to do what my brother did so that I could do it with him,
Yeah.
you know, and compete with him.
That's hilarious.
You know?
Yeah.
And so he was like a field player, and
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be a goalie.
Oh,
And that's how I started playing goalie.
And I bet you're way better than your brother ever was. Not to be a jerk to your brother.
Well, my brother wasn't. He didn't prefer sports anyways.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah,
I feel like that's just like a natural thing of like the younger one's always typically better. You know?
depends, I guess.
Because of that reason,
Yeah.
though. I mean, they
Yeah,
fall
yeah,
around
yeah,
their
yeah.
brother since birth, trying to play this sport that the brother probably wasn't coming out of the womb
And
playing.
then once we moved to America, he didn't want to play soccer anymore.
Interesting, but it was already too late for you.
Yeah.
You were already in.
I was hooked.
Yeah, you were.
But it definitely developed, you know, like
Yeah.
I took those like little stepping stones. Like
Yeah.
when I finally played on when Coach Scott Flowers came up to me and told me I had made the first team, and it was my first day at tryouts, first time for competitive.
Yeah.
On the like 30, like not even
Yeah.
like 30 minutes in, I had
Yeah.
made like a couple saves,
Yeah.
and
You
it was
you
like-
realize like, oh man, I like this.
when he said that to me, I'll never forget that feeling.
Yeah. And then you go back
know?
on this addiction crave, trying to get that feeling back. I mean, I get it,
I
dude.
want to make every team now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make all the teams. I want every single coach to come up to me and say that. You know?
That's what I enjoyed about goalkeeping so much when I discovered that feeling of denying someone a goal. You know how good it feels to
that's
score a
such good
goal?
feeling. Oh, but especially when they've got it put on a platter for them and they have to. Like they have to finish that.
Yes.
And
Those moments where you probably shouldn't have saved it and you did.
Or like you
Ooh.
make that slide tackle when they're like near the goal line and it's real risky because you're in the box, but you get it clean.
I love the off the line saves.
Oh yes, dude! I'll never forget doing it was like an overhead kick. Well, I wasn't like overhead. I just like lunged one of my legs up.
Yeah.
And like right off the line. It was
As a player or goalkeeper?
as a field player.
As a field player?
Field player, like straight, like foot in the air.
What a moment, you know?
Like those feeling. It's just 'cause it's like,
yes.
you know,
Yes.
it's like you're about to fall off a cliff, and
Yes,
then
and
out
then
of
you just
nowhere, like the
didn't.
wind brings you up. You know,
That's
like you're
holy
on
crap,
the
dude.
edge, and your weight is going down, but then whoop,
You just literally analogize goalkeeping.
yeah,
Goalkeeping is you are literally playing on the edge of a mountain and you are about to fall off at any moment and you are just struggling at all times to stay on the edge and keep that ball off. You know, like it's so challenging. It's unbelievable. But then when you get the satisfying feeling of being able to accomplish the goal of denying you that goal, there's nothing greater.
No,
I've never felt a better feeling in my life. It's
pretty good.
It was so satisfying that like during games, it would just feel so peaceful to be in the game.
That's a really good way to put it.
I don't know how else to
Because
say.
once you make one of those saves,
You just
and then you're watching the play build up on the other side of the field.
it all just starts to make
and
sense.
you're like,
and once you get that feeling in, it's funny to me that I look back, there was always one of two scenarios that had to take place for me to turn on in a game. And then once I'm on, it became very difficult to score on me because I was able to just zone in on this idea. And that was either I had to get scored on, which always sucked, or I had to make some kind of ridiculous save. And then suddenly it was just like, well, if I got scored, I can't tell you when I looked back and saw one time how many 1-goal games I had thought this is ridiculous, man. And I remember at some point feeling in a bunch of games my senior year, my freshman year of college, like when I get scored on, I'm like pissed. Pissed. You just pissed me off because you just made me look bad. Like that's my goal, my job. You just, now, no. You're not getting to.
Yeah.
It's not happening, man. And those feelings, dude. That rush. I scored a lot of goals growing up. I was a midfielder, goalkeeper. A forward. And I went straight to goalkeeping after that. And I think it's because I understood, like, it's really hard to score a goal. Mm-hmm. And so when you do, it feels real good. And when you think you've got one and I come in and deny it, that feels even better. And when you're in a PK shootout and you win the PK shootout because you made the save, oh my God, that, like, I get chills still of, like, that moment of standing up and realizing, oh my God, I just saved that and we just won this game. Holy shit, dude, you should feel so bad about yourself. And I had to make a save, like those. I loved goalkeeping. I miss those days, I don't miss them in like I'm pissed or anything but like, damn, man, those were some fun times. And it sucks that you get old and you can't even do it anymore, even if you wanted to. Like, to be a goalkeeper, it's a lot of wear and tear on your body. Yeah. It's a lot of wear. Took it really far. I could talk about that shit forever.
Hey, it's all right. Chazzy Rants. Yeah. That's your official name
on
the show.
Can we have like a random segments of just
Chazzy Rant?
Chazzy Rants?
No, so like what I'm planning on doing is doing clips.
Yeah.
And that's what'll be season 1. So we'll do a whole like subset of Chazzy Rants. Yeah. And it'll just be just be videos of you ranting.
If this ever gets big, then it'll make me feel better about my rants.
Until then, it'll just be like
until then, I'm just
tons of your rants on the internet.
Yes, correct. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I often think about these podcasts, and I'm like, I truly would never put out the idea that I would run for politics one day if I ever got to that point. Like, we're talking like 20 years down the road, but like, I don't see why I wouldn't run for mayor or like some city council crap if I really was here that long and had the opportunity, And then I'm like, I got a lot of things on the internet that I should probably be concerned about. Like that shit cracks me up all the time. And then I think to myself, you know what? I'll go for it one day. And if one of these things pops up and it really becomes that bad, then I just won't go for it anymore. Like whatever, like it is what it is.
At least going into it.
Yeah, like
whatever.
I forfeit.
Right.
I'll try to get around the dude, there's no way I have given cancel culture so much. So much, Anyways. Any final thoughts you have? Now I'm gonna cut it back to you because
let's see. I think that was a good little chat there. I'm honestly just really eyeing these cookies. I don't know if they can see them on camera, but
yeah, Mallory made those.
I'm about to dig into these because I haven't had one yet. So
yeah, I try to like hoard them for the end, and then late at night I'm sitting here munching on them.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I ate all of the ones I took last week in the car.
That was funny, man. I looked over and Sumner's like grabbing a bunch of.
He was being so sneaky.
Dude, he was like putting them in a napkin real quick, and then like
grabbing a couple and eating them. I was like, "What are you up to, man?
Dude, you
don't have to hide anything here."
And then you walked up and you just.
And then I grabbed a napkin. And I was like, "I'm gonna take some for the road."
Yeah, dude. Those are the shittiest, best. It's like ramen noodles for cookies, but they're so good. They all cost a cent to make, but whatever. They're so good.
Well done to them.
Absolutely. It could be cardboard, but it tastes great. Don't care.
Yep.
Hilarious. Okay. Any other final thoughts?
No. What you got?
Dude, don't get me ranting. Don't do this, man.
We'll see you next week. Peace.